Today, we are going to be talking about the U.S. threat assessment, and we're going to get into details on how the federal government sees weapons of mass destruction, CBRN threats, transnational criminal organizations and synthetic drugs, cyber physical threats to critical infrastructure.
And everybody's favorite AI, technological challenges, domestic and international terrorism, and health security and dual-use biological threats. So listen in. You know the worst part about arriving at hazmat scenes?
That polyester smell and locker room smell combined together when you get out of a level A?
Yes, but also uncertainty. You have no idea what's actually in that air.
Yeah, just saying, hey, it's a chemical and making that assumption, it just doesn't really cut it anymore. You need answers and you need them fast.
That's where the Explorer comes in. It's real-time chemical ID and quantification right in the field.
So much more than just, yeah, it's probably something that's bad. It's going to tell you exactly what there is and how much.
So you can set up your safety zones like an adult and not a rookie guessing where to put the tape.
Defensible, quantitative data in seconds, making decisions a hell of a lot easier.
Right, so no more waiting around, waiting for an answer, just solid life-saving intel.
So check out the Explorer and stop guessing. Go to 908devices.com for more. You know what stresses me out about hazmat calls?
The part where everybody smells like somebody put on a new carpet. It smells like carpet.
Exactly, right? It's the guessing. That's not tactics.
That's where Teledyne FLIR Defense builds detection tools so we can stop doing that. Real sensors for real CBRNE threats.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for over 30 years, helping first responders know exactly what they're dealing with.
Hazmat, Homeland Security, public safety, they take ugly scenes and give you clear answers.
Because the more you know, the smarter you can operate.
Teledyne FLIR Defense, any threat, anywhere, without mystery.
And as we promised, we were going to look into a solution for battery fires, and many companies have presented their products to us, but there's been one noteworthy one so far because it does actually extinguish the lithium-ion battery fires. It works on multiple classes of fire, so no one-trick pony here, and it prevents the fires from spreading. Most of all, it prevents the lithium-ion batteries from reigniting.
Now, before that keyboard warrior starts caps locking with proof, the links are in the show notes for Class UL, Class A and B, as well as BSI for 10 categories, including the lithium-ion batteries.
Now, we have put it through our own battery of field testing, and I got to be honest with you, we were impressed with the results. So we always suggest that you do your own myth busting. This is available in a variety of options, so it's going to integrate into whatever your current process is. You can access them by checking out Fire Suppression Solutions or clicking on the link in the show notes.
Wow. Good stuff.
Whew.
We're back.
We're back. Lots going on in the world over the past couple of weeks, the month, and we have definitely. This is a very timely podcast for what is going on in the world. This is the United States Threat Assessment. So the federal government pushes out this document every year to kind of give a heads up as to what they think the general threats are for the public and national security. We've taken them and we have kind of filtered through them to see what would affect us, the first responder. Like, how does this look for our operations? How does this look for our tactics? So, yeah.
I like it. It's so we'll give you a chunk of the assessment, and then we'll kind of break it down. Like, what does that mean? And then how does it relate to you?
Absolutely. And the first one we're going to go with is going to be the weapons of mass destruction and CBRNE threats. So the assessment says literally, quote, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Pakistan have been researching and developing an array of novel, advanced, and traditional missile delivery systems with nuclear and conventional payloads that put our homeland within range. Threats to the homeland will expand collectively more than 16,000 missiles by 2035.
All right, so let's break down exactly what that means. That means, let's say you have several countries, they're building faster, smarter, more powerful delivery trucks for dangerous weapons. And some of these trucks can carry chemicals and germs or nuclear bombs. And because these countries are making so many of them, there's a much higher chance that one could be used or that an accident could happen during a conflict.
All right. And I see you guys over there kind of rolling your eyes. And yes, we do the same thing, right? Because we have been in this terrorism world for so long that it kind of is like, all right, yeah, but that's never really going to happen. But if you look at hazmat in general, it is a very low probability, high risk event. So let's take a look at what the potential is, because if something were to happen, it's got to hit somewhere in the United States, right? So while the intelligence community focuses on state level actors, the novel delivery systems and the payloads and all that other stuff, all this basically means for us is that we have a higher likelihood of seeing chemical and radiological material being used in more complex ways. So we don't have to rely on like that sleeper cell that wakes up with the batch of cobalt or cesium to go out and do something. This can come from outside of the United States, which kind of decreases our warning time.
All right, let's bring this now to the technician level, right? So what we should be preparing for is the non-traditional agents, right? This standard detection stuff that we have may not be calibrated for what they call novel or advanced synthetic agents that are being developed. If you're curious about what we're talking about, you can go back in our episodes. We have done quite a few episodes on different variant of these types of things. I'm not going to get into it, but go back and you'll find them, because now everything's free. There is an increased need for interoperability with militarized specialized units like CSTs. And if you have an incident that involves these types of advanced missile technology, something like that, this is a CST phone call.
And if you don't know what a CST is, it's time to start busting out the Google and meeting some of your friends that you don't know exist. Speaking of friends that we don't know exist, let's talk a little bit about a Mexico-based trade criminal organization like the I can never pronounce this stupid
Sinaloa.
name. I keep wanting to say cinnamon. I'm so horrible.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. The Cinnamon Cartel. Right? They are the new generation cartel dominated by production and smuggling of fentanyl, heroin, methamphetamines, cocaines into the United States. And they are continuing to respond and change to the counter drug pressures that are being accelerated and adopted by the United States. So their operations are changing and they're shifting, here's the key, from importing to local production.
All right, let's break that down. So
it's Breaking Bad shit right here.
Yeah, these bad groups, right, these cartels are illegal factories, right? When the police close one factory, the cartels just build a new one in a different place or just change the recipe for the drugs they make to stay ahead. Now, they are making these drugs like fentanyl that are so strong, they could be quite deadly if you, I'm not going to say touch them, but breathe them in, as we spoke about in a recent episode.
Yeah, so context for us, the first responder, what the hell does that mean? Well, they're not opening up like a chemical plant to do this. They're doing this in illicit labs, which means that they're moving into residential neighborhoods or empty commercial properties within the United States to not get snagged at the border. So the places that you are responding into now have the potential to have an increased drug lab presence.
Yes, and while we as responders are no longer just dealing with like just the overdoses, what we're entering into is the high hazard chemical manufacturing environment, right? So these are these clan labs, these meth labs, or whatever it might be. So what was a standard medical call can instantly turn into a complex hazmat scene if these precursor chemicals or high concentration fentanyl dust is present. There is a great chart. You know what? I'm going to put it in the show notes from our good friend Todd Burton. That is a clan lab chart. Add to show notes. There you go. Now, you're welcome. You just got more stuff. I'll add that into the show notes. But, if you are seeing high concentration fentanyl dust present, you're talking about adapting to these shifting production methods, right? Mentioning the report means that responders must treat all unknown lab sites as high threat chemical environments.
Yeah, and that is going to increase in frequency. Yeah, we've already seen labs here in the United States, but we're going to see them more often in areas that haven't seen much labs. You might actually start responding to them. So this is definitely something that you want to kind of catch up on. Which I'd be remiss to add that we do have a really good lab class if you guys want. I'm just saying, like, if you want a little extra training on labs, you can come see us. We'll come down and do some training. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and non-state ransomware groups will continue to seek and to compromise the U.S. government and private sector networks as critical infrastructure. Oh, we did a whole show on this. We were ahead of the curve, right? And what this is looking to do is to create options for future disruptions.
Okay. Hackers in other countries are trying to get into the computer system that run our electricity, our water, our chemical plants, and they aren't just trying to steal the passwords. They want to be able to turn off or break those systems if there's a war. If you electronically shut these things off, as we said, what was it, 3 episodes ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I don't know. Time seems to mush together to me now.
Yes, so it's a thing.
Right? So a cyber attacks, right? They happen. They're not just staying within the digital world. They end up coming and affecting our everyday life. Think of a hacker disrupting a plant's cooling system or a water treatment plant in chlorine levels, or they turn off the pumps and flow for water. Like, all these things that are happening in the digital world absolutely can come out and affect us here in the physical world.
So as a hazmat responder, when a facility alarm now goes off, as we said in the last couple episodes, hazmat teams, you got to think about, is this an actual mechanical failure or a cyber physical type thing, right? If it's an attack, that whole facility safety systems like lockout, tagout, that's the lockout, tagout is the physical iteration of overriding the machine, right? So, automatic shutoffs, you can't assume they're automatic anymore. They might be disabled by the hackers, making the scene much more dangerous to responders. But I do have an out on that, Mike. Do you know that today our episode is brought to you by Rigaku Analytical Devices, who are the folks who've been perfecting the 1064 nanometer Raman longer than some of you guys have been doing hazmat.
And they just launched their 4th generation hand analyzer, the Icon X, built specifically for the real world stuff that we deal with on an everyday basis. I'm talking like dirty powders, mixed materials, dyes, colors, all those things that throw all of our other equipment into a temper tantrum.
And the 1064 nanometer laser means that reduced fluorescence. So you get fast, reliable chemical ID in under a minute instead of staring at that blank screen wondering what went wrong.
And the beauty of it, it's a brand new platform. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a whole toolbox. It supports new accessories, including standoff analyzations, so you can get answers without getting too close.
If you want an analyzer that's been evolving right alongside us, check out the Rigaku's newest Raman at rigakuanalytical.com. You know what I love about the city?
Watching socialism fail?
My new favorite is the e-scooter gangs.
Ah, yes, because nothing screams hazmat like a moped with a battery that's about to go nuclear.
Yep, and that's where Obexian FR saves the day.
This stuff is great. It's lightweight, mobile-friendly. It's designed for the first responder because the last thing we need is extra weight when things start heating up.
And it's third-party tested to lower toxic gases below the ideal H levels.
Which means you could actually breathe while you put out the scooter fire. I wouldn't recommend it, though. Keep your mask on.
And if you need more, Obexian FR comes by the pallet load or certified poly drum kits.
Which is perfect when you have so many batteries that your butthole tightens up and you think, I'm going to need a lot more of this.
Protect your team and your lungs. Go check it out at thehazmatguys.dgeo.com. That's thehazmatguys.dgeo.com. Now, AI, everybody's favorite. AI, artificial intelligence. The assessment says, and I quote, innovation in the field of artificial intelligence will likely accelerate the threats in this cyber domain. Tools like generative AI will essentially lower the barrier for actors, state and non-state, with fewer resources to engage.
Right, because AI is making it easier for like the small time bad guys to do big time stuff. Just like it's making it easier for my kids to be able to do assignments in school, right? Like you no longer have to be the scientist to figure stuff out because AI becomes your scientist. As much as it helping the good guys, AI is also helping the bad guys because it's teaching them how to make chemical weapons or to do like really dangerous stuff while sneaking past security.
Now, for the first responder in general, this lower barrier to entry means that smaller, less sophisticated groups or lone wolf actors can now access technical know-how that was previously classified or too difficult to understand.
So we should expect a rise in improvised chemical devices, right? We need to be ready for that kind of kitchen sink mix of chemicals nonsense and not really knowing what it is that we're walking into, right? We're basing more on chemical physical properties and what we're seeing than actual like, okay, my meter is picking up this. It's a weird world out there, guys. AI's helping.
Yeah, the next one is going to be about domestic and international terrorism. The assessment says, and I quote, Islamic terrorist groups have shifted towards focusing on executing information operations to spread propaganda and enable individuals located with or in access to the West.
So instead of sending large groups to attack, the terrorists have been using the internet to kind of convince people to do their dirty work for you, right? Hey, why sneak somebody into the United States when I could just change somebody's mind who is already living here? This makes it a lot harder for us to detect attacks because we can't follow people from one place to another. We just have to, we have to be looking in other methods and other directions, and that makes it hard to detect one person who's going to act.
Now, for the first responders, this is going to be a shift towards inspired individuals, right? So this is going to be a little bit more on the soft targets, such as malls and schools and transit hubs. And these individuals are going to have access to hazmats, just like if I go to Home Depot, I can go to get chlorine and pesticides and gasoline because they're easier to get than military explosives.
So a lot of these things that we've talked about, we've kind of wanted you to expand your knowledge in a particular subject. And now we're turning around saying, okay, that's not good enough anymore. You got to expand your everyday hazmat threats, right? We want to think about those soft targets and how they would likely come in, these terrorists would come in contact with them. Think of a terrorist like you would yourself. Like, how would I do this? And then start to train on how you would. You want to monitor local chemical supply storages, right? You want to look and investigate suspicious behavior. Hopefully, law enforcement is looking at suspicious purchases that are coming through in small amounts or even large quantities, and they're looping all of this intelligence into the local fire service and police departments.
The last one for this episode is going to be health security and dual use biological, which kind of put my ears up a little bit. Quote, advancements in synthetic biology and genomic editing by both state actors and private laboratories have outpaced international oversight. That raises the risk of accidental or intentional release of modified pathogens with the enhanced virulence and environmental stability.
COVID. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Scientists are generally able to reprogram germs. Kind of like a computer program now, right? If you've been following the evolvement of CRISPR in the genetic world, that's a huge tool to be able to create your own germ warfare, make bad things even worse. And these tools that are used in the lab can be turned around and used on viruses. They can be used on bacteria. They can create things that live longer outside of the body, something that's easily disseminated through the air. These recipes, for lack of better words, they're getting easier to find and harder to track.
Now, in general, for the first responders, this changes a couple things, specifically what we would call the incubation window, right, for biological calls. So if a pathogen is what they call environmentally stable, it means maybe you'd have to look at your decon, right, your standard decon procedure, because it might need to either be more aggressive or last longer to accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, so we as technicians, we should be reviewing like biosensory or even our sampling protocols. We aren't just like looking for the white powder in an envelope, right? That anthrax anymore. It's become much more sophisticated. We're looking for modified agents that may not react with standard field tests. This suggests that the warm zone for a bio event in 2026 might be significantly larger than it was in the past.
If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, oh my God, I train up, you can give us a call. We'll help you with all this stuff that we're talking about here.